Your Excellency Minister Caroline Edstadler, dear Miss Antonella Mai Portler, Honorable Members of Parliament, Mrs. Carmen Yaitler-Cincelli and Mr. Michel Raymond, Mr. Christian Kroll of the Bertelsmann Foundation, Mr. Klaus Heidinger of Siemens Advanta, Mrs. Alexandra Beckscheider-Pischler of Statistik Austria. Dear distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, Guten Morgen. First of all, let me extend my great sympathy and condolences to the Austrian people for these past difficult days and weeks, and particularly to all those who lost their loved ones to either the pandemic or to the most recent violent acts. The challenges presented by the pandemic are grave, and Vienna, in addition, had to experience a terrorist attack. I followed the recent incident very closely via Korean media. Let me again share my sadness and my deep sympathy with the Austrian people who I know will stand united in these difficult times. It is very symbolic and important that even in times like this, with an agglomeration of destabilizing factors globally and also nationally, Austria is keeping up the momentum from its VNR presentation this summer and is furthering its commitment to the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. Austria's first voluntary national review to the high-level political forum of the United Nations was very well received by the international community, and I want to commend all stakeholders for the work accomplished thus far. The entire Ban Ki-moon Center team was part of the broad multi-stakeholder process leading up to the presentation of the VNR, and we want to voice our appreciation to all our partners in government, civil society, and academia for this journey. We worked with many dedicated individuals who are also taking part in this event today, including members of government, the Interministerial Working Group, the Editorial Group, Redaction Gruppe, as well as social partners, academia, and our friends from civil society, and representatives from across Europe and even the United States. We are looking forward to being introduced to several Austrian best practice cases for SDG implementation in various sectors during today's event. These examples and the discussions taking place today should serve to keep up the momentum, deepen the commitment, and reach out further and more effectively to the public, to businesses, and to all educational institutions in order to accelerate the implementation of the SDGs. We are therefore particularly grateful to have members of Parliament of the Austrian National Assembly with us today to share their perspectives, efforts, and ideas for accelerating implementation of the SDGs in Austria. The Austrian Parliament has a crucial role to play for the SDGs as the legislative force and representation of the Austrian people. Parliaments ensure that national SDGs implementation reflects specific local needs and the circumstances of specific groups. By regularly holding hearings and requesting plenary reports, Parliament can bring the SDGs to the attention of the public and the media, thereby encouraging accountability on all levels. Now, with only 10 years left to achieve the SDGs, it is time that we harness all the energy and support needed for this process and direct it towards the future. We must ask ourselves, what is next? How can we best accelerate the SDGs in these unprecedented times, when it is more vital than ever before to make them a national and international priority? Needless to say, the focus areas of the Ocean VNR, digitalization, climate action, women, youth, and leaving no one behind, were and are all greatly impacted by COVID-19. Digitalization has grown tremendously in importance since the start of the pandemic, increasing the urgency to close the digital divide. With this increase in significance, we have witnessed the exposure and aggravation of existing gaps within the spheres of digitalization. At the same time, we have realized its potential and speed in new developments to help society overcome and cope with the current challenges. Today's event should help answer the question on how Austria can optimally build on its green technology expertise and continue to champion green development to boost its contribution to the fight against climate change. Also, women and youth, as well as other marginalized groups, have been greatly affected by COVID-19. They have suffered from loss of livelihoods, school closures, increased domestic violence, and significant mental health challenges, to name just a few. How can Austria, therefore, best continue to mitigate the social repercussions and effectively provide society with a hopeful prospect? All over the world, the pandemic is deepening pre-existing inequalities, which then in turn amplify the impacts of the virus. To tackle these additional challenges, actions must be taken to accelerate the implementation of all SDGs. As the outbreak chapter of the Ocean VNR underlines, all actors at all levels must be involved in the implementation of the SDGs. Indeed, we must all work together, hand in hand, to make the SDGs a reality. With this in mind, I wish you the very best for today's discussions. Thank you for your dedication and hard work for the implementation of the 2030 Agenda. I wish you all the best for your continued efforts. Vielen Dank.